All right, welcome to the Deflategate special of Minor League Maniacs. Uh, so we're just gonna get right into it, and we'll start off with what happened, and then we can argue and yell at each other after that. So, in case you were living under a rock for the last week and a half, the Wells report, yeah, the Wells report came out finally after months, and basically said that it was probable that Brady did it, and that Kraft and Belichick knew nothing about it, and so Goodell made Troy Vincent suspend Brady for 4 games and fined the Patriots $1 million and took away their first-round pick in 2016 and their fourth-round pick in 2017. And so we're just going to start off with the simple question. Do you think Brady is guilty? What about McNally, Jastrzemski? And what do you think happened?
Who are we starting with?
Yeah, we'll start with the Patriots fan. So yeah.
Okay. No, I don't think any of them are.
Dun dun dun.
There's zero proof that any illegal tampering happened. So for me to accept that any of them are guilty, that fact would need to be proven. So by default, no, I don't think any of them are guilty. To expound upon that, do I think it's a little fishy that McNally brought him into the bathroom? Yeah, probably shouldn't have done that. But the fact that it's more probable than not that game balls were deflated, and that it's more probable than not that Tom Brady was generally aware that there was a plot to deflate those footballs is nothing. And if you can't prove that the tampering took place, you can't assign guilt to anybody. So that's where I stand. No, not guilty.
Ryan?
So how I feel on it is, do I think Tom Brady did something that any other quarterback hasn't ever done in their life? No. Do I believe that they are guilty? Like Greg said, there's not evidence, or they didn't find evidence to say it was definitely Tom Brady or it was definitely this guy. But the other, like the fishy standards, every quarterback, Aaron Rodgers come out and said he likes his overinflated. Every other quarterback said they've basically done it in their career at some point. So this is something that goes on. And do I believe Brady would take any competitive advantage to win a game? Yes. I mean, the Patriots, they seem to get caught with it because they've been such a good team with, Spygate. That's a different thing. But getting that competitive advantage in other ways, when the Jets trip people when they're running down the sidelines on a kick return, things like that. So this was something small that, again, because the Patriots win, because the Patriots are so great, they're getting nailed with this, and Goodell just wants to put a stop to it, period, because he knows everyone does it. So who's better to go at than Tom Brady and make a statement than right now? It's kind of sad, but at the same time, being a Jets fan, I love it. Do I think this suspension will ever hold up? No, because like Greg said, there's not enough proof. Maybe it goes down to like a 1 game, so like he still makes a little bit of a statement, but Brady basically can go fucking. I mean, they're gonna win with fucking. I could be quarterback and beat the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. So in that sense, but it is fishy. I mean, there are some like weird texts, the bathroom saying they fired them after, but then now they're saying the NFL made them fire them. So now
and they're only suspended. It's indefinite, but they're only suspended.
You know what I mean? So like me looking at it, or anyone really looking at it, like why would you get rid of them or suspend them if they did nothing? And then it's like, well, the NFL told them to. Well, I mean, if they did nothing and someone told me to fire these guys that are legitimate employees, I'd say fuck you, and they'd still be there.
And that was still when Kraft was in, we're going to fully comply with whatever the NFL wants. So they suspended him indefinitely when they asked him to, and then they released the punishment. And Kraft was like, hold up a minute. What the fuck are you guys doing over there?
Well, I mean, that's another thing, though. Now Kraft came out today and said that, like, he's not going to challenge the team's, suspend, like, the money and the draft pick. So it's totally different. I get that because it's not Brady. But at the same point, what kind of message are you saying? You're kind of saying, like, okay, maybe we did something because, we're not going to fight it. Then look at Brady. Like, why you said you're going to comply. Why is he now arguing? Like, either take it all or fight it all. I don't like this half-ass shit.
I actually 100% agree with you on that. If Kraft feels as strongly about this as he does, which, I mean, he's made very clear, then he should at least be fighting to get that first-round draft pick back.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah. No other team has lost a first-round draft pick for punitive reasons. The Patriots have lost 2. One for Spygate, which, whatever, they got caught red-handed. It's a much smaller deal than the general public likes to believe it is because they bury their head in the sand. But this one, they can't even prove that anything happened, and they're still taking away a first-round pick? That's outrageous. So, yeah, I'm pissed that Kraft backed down and didn't just go scorched earth on the NFL.
I think the biggest thing is that he couldn't. When you look at the history of teams suing the NFL, it only ends badly for the teams. And
Right.
so I think even if he did, it was just going to end up being the same thing.
And he
then when you
clearly didn't have any support from the other owners.
Oh yeah, obviously, and then you have Schefter that reported that last night Goodell and Kraft were having back channel talks regarding all this, and then today Kraft has a conference. So it just further proves to me that basically Goodell and Kraft met and they struck a deal that if Kraft comes out and says that he's not going to fight the Patriots penalty, then Goodell will either, as the arbitrator, so he'll have all the power, he'll either get rid of Brady's suspension or he'll recuse himself and put a impartial arbitrator in which case the Patriots have a slam dunk case with Brady's suspension since Troy Vincent was the one that handed down the suspension,
Right.
which is elite, which is not allowed in the CBA.
Right.
So I think basically the whole point of Kraft doing what he did today is so that Brady won't get the 4-game suspension.
Yeah, go ahead, Sean.
Well, so I actually really liked what Kraft did today, despite everything else and despite whatever else I might say. I was really impressed with Kraft. I took it as, and maybe Josh, you're right, I hadn't thought about it from that angle. But I felt like Kraft really was like, all right, this is bullshit. We've had enough of it. No, I'm not happy with this. But honestly, everybody wants this to be done and over with. And if he takes Goodell to court, if he takes the NFL to court, it's just going to drag on. And Josh, actually, you're probably right that he probably did strike some kind of a deal with Goodell, and that would make sense. But I thought it was pretty classy, and to me, actually, it made me feel much more confident in saying that I think Kraft. I never actually thought Kraft had anything to do with it, and I think, especially after what he said today, I really don't think he, even if whatever you guys don't think anything happened, but despite whether it did or didn't, whatever, Kraft absolutely was honest from the start, didn't know what was going on, and thought it was absolutely ridiculous. I thought Kraft has always been a great owner, but he went up even more in my book for that, definitely.
I think you're in the minority on that, though. I think most fans of other teams are going to look at this as an admission of guilt. I think most fans are going to go, he's accepting it, they must have done something, those fucking Cheatriots, and they're just going to fucking pound their drums for the next 10 years. And it's...
I'm trying to be really subjective about it because, and I'll get to this in a minute, why I do think Tom Brady was involved. I have a theory, and you guys might appreciate this better than most other people, but... So, yeah, I try to be relatively subjective about it because I realize I'm not the biggest Patriots fan, but I don't want to go in here just like, oh, fuck them, they all cheated. So that's how I feel about the Kraft situation, at least. So.
All right, well, you might as well just tell us what you think happened since we didn't get to meet you.
We kind of...
Okay, so as for Tom Brady, did you guys read the text messages?
Yeah.
I just, so the ones that stick out the most to me were from McNally. Well, this one doesn't involve Brady, but from McNally, nice dude, Jimmy needs some kicks. Let's make a deal. Come on, help the deflator. And the Patriots tried to defend Deflator by saying he was referring to himself losing weight, which to me was just like, that's insulting my intelligence. I'm sorry, that's fucking retarded. And so if that's their defense to that, I mean, I understand trying to. If Kraft really thought they were, nothing was going on, and I honestly think he did, then I can see, I guess, where he'd be coming from with that. But anyway, the one that really got to me about Brady, and I'll explain my theory after I tell you why this one matters so much, is McNally's text, make sure you blow up the ball to look like a rugby ball so Tom can get used to it before Sunday. And then later on, the only thing deflating Sunday is his passer rating. So I think it's pretty damning and clear that Brady, obviously he likes the balls a little bit flatter. In my mind, if Brady had told those guys to deflate the balls before giving it to the refs, I have absolutely no problem with that. I don't care. At that point, it's on the NFL. I don't give a shit. Even if it gets through the NFL system, not Brady's fault, nobody's fault. Absolutely not. The video of McNally taking the balls into the locker room after they've been checked, or the bathroom, sorry, not the locker room. That's some pretty strong evidence there, too. I think that in general, and this is where the Aaron Hernandez thing comes up, I don't actually think it's any kind of a similar situation, because obviously killing someone is a little bit different than deflating the footballs. But it comes to the fact that there was nothing, just to make a point, there was no solid evidence for Hernandez, too, but no one's afraid to put him on a pike just because he got, because it was murder or whatever. Anyway.
That wasn't the point I thought you were going to make, but go ahead.
No. Okay, so my point about Hernandez is just that there wasn't any direct solid evidence there either, and at some point you have to make a judgment, and obviously I don't think the Ted Wells report was done very well. I think the NFL kind of shamed themselves on this whole thing because they did such a shitty job investigating it. Tom Brady not helping the investigation didn't help either, but so before I rant for like 3 hours on this, I'll give you my theory. So Tom Brady told these guys that he likes the balls flat, right? Well, not flat, but deflated, whatever. He likes them on the low end. So the guys go in and they go ahead and prepare them at the minimum level. Maybe the refs boost it back up to 12.5, whatever. And then Brady gets all pissed off and yells at them, "Hey, these are too tight," not knowing that they were at the minimum allowed by the league. So by Brady telling them, "Okay, well, minimum, we already have it at the minimum of the league or whatever," and that's why some of these texts get a little bit messy about doing stuff for Tom and Tom, not giving them anything for it or whatever, and why they're so pissed off at Tom Brady because he keeps telling them to bring them flatter. So I don't know. My theory is that basically they told Brady then that, oh, well, they're already at the league minimum, and then Brady said something along the lines to them as, "I don't care," or "do whatever you have to do." I don't know, something, not directly telling them, not being like, "Hey, go ahead and cheat for me," but basically telling them, "I want them flatter on Tom Brady, just fucking do it." And so that's why they're all pissed off about it. That's why the McNally text is like, he's always talking about giving him, big bloated balls instead, because he's pissed off. He's doing his job, and now Brady's telling him to do this. And so that's my theory. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm not even 100% sold on that, but
I actually 100% agree with you. I think that's exactly how it went down. I think these guys are I think McNally's all pissed off at Brady because Brady's being a dick about it. Because let's be honest, who is a bigger competitor in the league right now than Tom Brady? Like, that dude's on edge all the time. And those footballs are like the one thing that they can kind of control, so they want those to be perfect. So I'm sure he's just an absolute dick about it. I have zero doubts about that. So I'm sure he's saying, "I don't care. I want him at 12.5. McNally even said or whatever, like at one point Brady was like, "Maybe you should drop off a copy of the rule book in the officials' locker room when you drop off the game balls so that they know if it's at 12.5 they don't have to put any fucking air in it." So yeah, Brady's a little bit of a stickler about his footballs. So I think that you're exactly right. I think Brady was just such an asshole about it. That's why these guys were, because I mean they're clearly uninhibited texters. Like, there zero thought went through them that, oh, maybe someone's going to be reading these one day. So, like, they're just venting to each other about what a dick Brady is. But that's, like you said, that's not illegal. If they're preparing them at 12.5 or shit, even 11.5, as long as it's before the officials see it, that's on the NFL. And if the NFL has super lax, game day preparation, which they clearly do, since even when he was notified about it, Walt Anderson didn't record the pregame PSI levels, they don't give a shit. So it's not on Brady. And even if something funny happened after the officials inspected it this time, it's still not on Brady.
It's only on Brady he brought the balls into the bathroom. McNally brought the balls into the bathroom after they were supposedly inspected. So obviously some cheating, and I'll get to that actually too in a minute, cheating happened or whatever. I can't say whether or not Brady was involved directly with telling him to do that. I think because of the circumstantial evidence, there has to be something, maybe a 2-game. I would probably have said 2 games, to be completely honest. I could hear people saying 8 games in a season. That was total bullshit. And I don't think that the Patriots needed to have their first-round pick taken. 4th-round pick, maybe, but I still don't think that was necessary. A 2-game...
The team shouldn't have gotten anything.
Yeah. I mean, the only argument about the team, though, is what happened to the Saints in Bountygate, is that supposedly Sean Payton didn't know shit, but then he still got banned for a year. So it's kind of like...
Belichick got suspended.
Well, I don't know.
Right.
I was saying the NFL is handling this horribly. I mean, I don't think that I don't know. The NFL totally blew this whole thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's funny because that's basically what I was going to say. What I think happened as well, especially when you see them complaining about the Jets balls and how the refs pumped it up to like 16 psi at the top, and obviously Brady was pissed about that. And I don't know if he told him to do it before or after, or if McNally just decided that, hey, I'm just going to do this after, since I don't want to get yelled at by Brady again. It's a complete total possibility. It's also possible that Brady was like, hey, I don't think it's that big of a deal, so I'm just McNally, hey, or I don't think he ever talked to McNally, but he at least told Jastrzemski that he wanted them pumped up or deflated afterwards, if it felt like they were too pumped up. So I don't know which one it is, but I think there's definitely Brady has some sort of hand in it. I don't agree with the punishment. I think we just started to get on it a little bit and prove that the NFL how messed up they are in this whole thing, based on the fact that they went on the Wells report with suspending Brady from probable cause, and then there's no cause for Belichick and Kraft. So, they give an insane suspension, insane punishment for them when, okay, if you want to punish them for not having knowledge about what their equipment managers are doing, that's retarded in the first place, but whatever. Even if you want to do that, a first-round pick, a fourth-round pick, and $1 million, like the worst punishment that's ever been handed down to any team in the NFL, in the history of the NFL, for just not knowing about the air pressure being put in a ball, it's just like a maximum extreme. And I think the whole thing was handled absolutely horribly by the NFL.
Yeah.
And
right from the get-go.
And I think the whole point is the NFL kept leaking stuff out there too. And I think that was the biggest thing, was that they were just leaking stuff out to try to see what the public was thinking. Oh, we're going to give Brady 8 games, and then people, oh yeah, you should do that, you should do that. And then we're going to get. It was leaked out that he was going to get only like 2 games, and then you saw backlash. So they're like, okay, maybe 4 games, that'll make the public happy. And that's really felt like what they were doing, is that whatever makes the general populace happy, that's what we're going to give Brady and the Patriots.
This wouldn't have even been a story without NFL leaks either, because the leak went to Kravitz, who said he was the first one to break that the NFL was investigating the fact that the Patriots might have used underinflated game balls. It didn't even become a story until the Mortensen leak, where someone leaked to Mortensen that 11 of the 12 balls were 2 psi below the regulation, which was
completely false.
Absolutely false.
Right.
Only one registered at 10.5. The rest were much, much closer to the allowable levels. And if you go by the logo gauge one, that one, all of them, fell within the allowable range for the ideal gas law.
The thing, just real quick about that, though, is actually you can thank Justin Bollinger for pointing this out to me, because trust me, we've had some lengthy conversations about this, and especially nerd conversations, because we're both nerds. So he said that he found a report where they reverse calculated the gas law thing. So if you're going to go with the other logo one, where they were all safe or they were all good or whatever, then if you reversed, it's like going back and calculating what the air pressure would have been before the game if they had used that gauge or whatever, using the same equation, and it ended up being that like they were all above the range or whatever. And so the question is kind of like, okay, well, if they were all above the range originally, that technically that's against the rule too. It's kind of a stupid point, but the point really of that is just being like, well, that we both think the logo, the whichever one they used, it doesn't really. I mean, I don't know.
My favorite part of that whole thing is throughout the entire Wells report, they take Walt Anderson at his word, based on his confidence in his answers and his reputation as a referee, which he has a great one. Everyone respects the hell out of Walt Anderson. So they take him at his word, despite the fact that he couldn't remember whether the Patriots submitted 12 or 13 balls for inspection. He lost the footballs for the first time in his 19-year career. Didn't go with the backup ones, which were all checked and ready to go. didn't even scold McNally for like, hey, why'd you take these? So they take him at his word for everything throughout the whole report except the one time where it would help the Patriots case. So consistently throughout the entire report, every instance that hurts the Patriots, or every inference that hurts the Patriots, the Wells report makes. Every inference that hurts the NFL, they ignore. They just pick and choose, which is understandable when you look at how much money Ted Wells and his firm have made from the NFL. With this report, the estimate is between $40 and $50 million. How can you be impartial? You give me $50 million, I'll write whatever the fuck you want and put my name at the bottom. You can write it yourself and I'll just sign it. I don't care. So clearly, this isn't an impartial report. It was a predetermined report. The NFL gave them their guidelines, and they set out and tried to prove it. And the only reason it took 103 days is because they have nothing, and they proved it. They have zilch.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about, but didn't necessarily reference, was the fact that Walt Anderson wasn't exactly sure which gauge he used, so but then he wasn't sure, and then he said the gauge. He said, well, I think it was this one, and it was the one that would have made it so that none of the balls were technically deflated.
And then Wells pressed him and was like, well, are you completely sure? And he's like, well, I guess it's possible, and they went with that.
Yeah, so
I don't know that they found nothing. I think the texts were pretty damning, but
that something happened, but not that anyone cheated.
Well, I guess that you can't officially say that anyone technically. Right, you don't have dead-on set evidence that anybody actually did anything. No, but I think it's pretty.
All they proved was that McNally and Discrepsey don't like Tom Brady.
Right.
That's all they proved beyond a reasonable doubt. Everything else is guessing.
And basically, they proved things that they wanted to prove to you. So they aligned the whole report to look biased and look like they were doing stuff. But the minute people got a week to start digging in, they realized all the stuff that was missing out of the report that would have gave you the other side of the story. So there's all these other sides of the story that the report is completely ignoring, and that's why not only do they have just the probable evidence where they can't, even the report they give you now, they can't prove they're cheating, but the fact that they're leaving out the other side of the story as well, it makes me kind of wonder what would the public opinion be if they put the other side of the story that made you doubt whether they cheated with the stuff that just keeps slamming you, telling you that they cheated. So that's the biggest thing to me.
The NFL, or Ted Wells, I guess, and the NFL, didn't want to look into any of the leaks. And the NFL didn't let them investigate any of the leaks that were coming out. Because the Patriots lawyers were like, hey, can you guys, if you're going to be the independent and impartial investigator, look at this shit too, because this isn't okay. And the NFL head lawyer was just like, nah, don't worry about it. We got it.
Right, it's because it's coming out of their own front office.
Right.
You have guys like Kensel, who were the GM for the Jets for years and got screwed over by Belichick and is now running huge operations in the NFL. There's going to be a kind of a conflict of interest there.
Kensel even apparently said to a Patriots official on the sideline after halftime, he was like, we weighed the balls. You guys are in big fucking trouble.
Yeah.
Who says that if you don't have an axe to grind?
Yeah. Yeah, who says that at all in any sort of professional manner? When you're working for the NFL now, you're not supposed to be completely biased towards a team. That makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, but that's never going to happen in every sport. I mean, friggin' look at Bud Selig used to own the Brewers. I mean, it's always going to happen. You're never going to have a fucking completely unbiased guy running anything.
I'm not asking for completely unbiased. I'm asking for a little oversight when you're taking away first-round draft picks.
Yeah, when you're doing a witch hunt, it's a little. Selig didn't go against Brewer rivals and try to get them, He
didn't try and pin steroid fucking use on, players he didn't like.
Right.
Yeah, you can even use the whole Braun issue as, he got out of fucking nothing.
I don't think that had to do with Selig, though.
I mean, it all has to do with someone. I mean, who ultimately was just like, all right, never mind, you don't get anything, you're right.
Well, it's because there was no evidence the first time. He got suspended after.
Well, I mean, he initially did, and then he fucking got out of it. they initially proved that this guy mishandled a piss test, and somehow that changed the whole outcome of what he tested positive from. Got the guy fired, and then eventually got suspended again later.
Well, right, but that was the problem. Was Evan? He did handle it wrong. So contractually, legally, if Braun sued the MLB, he'd win.
Yeah.
So you kind of have your hands tied in that situation. Well, I wanted to just point out, I know we've already said that the NFL screwed up this entire thing, but I think the biggest thing I wanted to point out was some equipment violations in other sports and what the punishment is, just because it's really, really interesting compared to what the NFL are doing.
I mean, we can talk about the NFL's handling of this exact same situation in Minnesota.
Okay, we can do that too, yeah. So just for a reference, so if you have too much of a curve on your stick in the NHL, you get a minor penalty.
2 minutes.
If you have get fined with a corked bat in baseball, you get ejected for that one game. Brady possibly has someone deflate his footballs, and he gets 4 games, and the Patriots get $1 million in first round and fourth round taken away from him. So just to put in perspective of what other sports do with their equipment compared to what the NFL just did.
In the NFL handbook, it says that this exact situation is a $25,000 fine.
Well, that's the thing, though. And in typical NFL fashion, they put gray area. So they literally say $25,000 or more. Yeah. So that, or more. Yeah. So the or more is $25,000 or 4-game suspension, $1 million fine, right. First round, fourth round draft pick.
Smear your name in the mud and call you a cheater.
Right, yeah. Yeah, so I just love that. And as Greg was saying, too, we've had the Minnesota incident in which the NFL caught them warming balls on the sideline during the game, which is clearly illegal. And the NFL was just like, hey, guys, just don't do it again.
Hey, cut it out.
Yeah. It's like, hello. And that's the thing.
$20,000 for illegally using Stickum. They had a towel covered in Stickum. And they refused to hand over the towel.
Yeah.
Which there is refusal to cooperate, $20,000 fine.
Yeah, they weren't cooperating either.
Yeah, and I'm not asking for those guys to get retroactively larger penalties. I just want this handled with some fucking consistency.
Right.
Yeah. And the NFL screws themselves, though, like you said, Josh. All these other leagues, and they're not perfect, because, you can say, 50 games for roids or a whole year with A-Rod, yeah, that's great, but, half the time you can get out of those suspensions easily. But what I'm saying is that the NFL and how they handle every fine and every suspension is just freaking crazy. If a guy dances, it's a fucking $50,000 suspension. If a guy cheats, if a guy drops an F-bomb in the NFL, it's like, oh my god. You'll see a baseball manager will drop fucking 75 F-bombs to an umpire, and they'll just get ejected from the game and say, hey, you know what? You were just really mad that game. You know what I mean? Why? Why is that okay? But then in football, it's this huge issue. I just don't get it.
They have this whole spiel about defending the shield and promoting the integrity of the game.
Oh,
and anybody with fucking eyes can see that the NFL office has zero integrity. Zilch. And it's a fucking joke.
Well, the fact that Goodell strategically had Troy Vincent hand down the penalty so that he could be the arbitrator itself is a huge integrity issue with the NFL.
Yeah. The whole thing, honestly, reeks to me of just publicity.
Yeah.
That's the only logical, no reasonable human being can look at this and go, oh, Brady deserves 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Hold on. To be honest, and you guys will like to hear this, don't worry. To be honest, before coming into this, I thought probably 2 games, maybe 4 was a little much, but 2 games maybe, because you didn't catch him red-handed, no, but he was probably involved with something, so you got to do something minor, but maybe not anything huge. 4 games probably too much, but maybe 2. Josh, I think you make probably the best point on this that I have heard anyone make anywhere, comparing it to the other sports with the punishments you get for having minor just equipment issues. That is such a solid point. That honestly just sold me that, yeah, probably Brady's suspension should be lifted. That actually makes a really good point. Also, just I wanted to put this in there, is that I did a little thing myself. I'm the stats guy of the group. And I know that there was rumors going around about, so the advantage of deflating your balls, right, would be supposedly that you don't fumble. Is that generally what everyone heard?
Fewer fumbles.
Right. So I went ahead and I gathered all data from anyone who carried a football. This doesn't count receptions. So I didn't do anything with drops. I didn't do anything with receivers. So any running backs or quarterbacks who carried the ball at least 10 times in a single season for the Patriots and at least 10 times in a single season for any other team. So the requirement was that the player had to do both, at least 10 carries for one team and at least 10 carries for the Patriots. And there was absolutely no difference in rates of fumble per carry. Absolutely nothing. Just since 2006, also I'll add. So.
Right. So there was that report that came out that since they allowed teams to provide their own game balls, that the Patriots have fumbled less than any other team. And then, like a week later, someone put out another article that just systematically dismantled all of the faulty math in that report.
Yeah, I read.
I mean, yeah,
I read the one that dismantled
less.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's because you look at how Belichick handles running backs who fumble.
Yeah.
Fucking sit.
And that's why I wanted to. Yeah, that's why when what I did, I made sure to compare running backs who played for two different teams, so that way you could say, okay, did they have any difference in their running? Because the biggest argument there was, oh, look at Ben-Jarvis Green Ellis, he never fumbled the Pats and then 4 times with the Bengals. But actually, it all averages out. That was just random error. Trust me, I looked at it and I was actually hoping, to find a significant difference, and there was not. So you can color me a biased guy who came out with a non-biased answer.
To me, though, it has nothing to do. I mean, like that was a huge argument that you fumble less. To me, it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with like Greg said, Tom Brady's preference and Tom Brady's mindset on how these balls need to be is going to affect how Tom Brady plays with what different size. All right. So if he's always used to playing with 12.5 or 12 or 11, whatever the fuck it may be, if it's a 15, 14, 13.5, that's different from him, and he's in a different mindset for a game. Like a pitcher, if a pitcher has, like Panita with Pine Tar, like pitcher goes like this and rubs their hand, and that's their move, and then they tell them they can't do that, they are fucked up royally because they just don't know what to do. It's just a huge thing. So for me, it's not that like you fumble less. For me, is that's Tom Brady's competitive advantage because in his mind, he knows that he plays better with a ball like this. In his mind, that Tom Brady controls the game because a quarterback is the whole piece really in the NFL, and it really just benefited him, which then benefits the Patriots, which is hands down why they win.
I guess for me, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, Josh, but I guess for me the reason I did the fumble thing is because if it's just Tom Brady's preference, then I feel like that shouldn't be necessarily illegal. If only advantage is that Tom Brady prefers it, then I'm fine with. I mean, obviously, if it's against the rules, he shouldn't do it. But if it's just his preference, then I don't see how it affects other teams and whatever. But if the Patriots were deflating them and they were getting an advantage because now anybody could carry the ball without fumbling it, that's different. Then I feel that's an actual unfair advantage. But if it's just that, Tom Brady prefers Giselle, I don't know. I mean, what difference does it make? What he prefers, it doesn't make it illegal. I don't know.
No, it doesn't make it illegal. But look at Tiger Woods. I mean, Tiger Woods was fucking all these bitches. Not illegal in the game of golf to go out and cheat on your wife. But after that, realistically, Tiger Woods is a different man because his mindset, his game, his preparation is totally different.
Yeah, I think there's something to the mindset that's going to be a competitive advantage for Brady because of that. I think there's something to that, but I also think that the fact that is clearly, it doesn't matter, as you saw from the Colts game, and how much better he was with the properly inflated balls compared to the underinflated balls. Numbers. Yeah, and I thought it was interesting. I read an article about so when it was like 2006 when Brady and Peyton got the league to allow quarterbacks to do whatever the hell they wanted to do with the ball beforehand, before the inspection, and I thought it was interesting that after that, Brady's completion percentage down the field, past I think it was it 20 or 25 yards, I think it was, actually decreased, and like the long bombs, like 40 yards, like significantly decreased.
Which makes sense.
Which makes sense, yeah, because with a deflated ball, you're going to have a better grip on the ball, so those short passes are going to be money, but the long passes are going to be shit. So it actually kind of makes sense that this whole time Brady was deflating the balls for that short game, but then
Right.
completely lost his entire long game. So I think that's
Give it-
sort of it's one of those things where, like in hockey, you know, the curve of your stick, it's going to take away something even though it gives you something else, or like your skate length, stuff like that. And that's what I think what Brady was doing, and he was basically saying, you know, it's not that big of a deal because even though I may be deflating it, I'm helping my short game, but I'm killing another part of my game, and that's just my personal preference that I'm willing to live with to do what I want to do. So I just thought that was interesting.
There was a really good article on Grantland about how the NFL just shouldn't even bother regulating the PSI. Like, because there's only so much you can inflate a football, and there's only so much you can deflate a football before it becomes unplayable. So why do you really care? I mean, I understand, like, the fumble argument of it, but what are you going to do? You're going to have balls that are intentionally flat just for running? That's going to be visible, and then the defense is going to go, oh, they're running, and blitz everybody. You know what I mean? Like, there's only so much that underinflating or overinflating a football is going to give you an advantage. So if really it all comes down to personal preference, why does the NFL even care? And clearly they didn't before this whole thing.
No,
They
you're
didn't. They didn't care until someone in the NFL office decided that they wanted the people to care. So they leaked the story to Mortensen to make people care, and once people cared, the NFL had to care. And that's the whole reason all this happened.
Because the Patriots are very, very easy to hate.
Oh, yeah, obviously.
It's true. And
So go ahead, Ryan.
I was going to say, I hope that they do change these rules of these balls, because I hope Geno Smith can play with an imaginable ball, and he can throw a fake ball through the air, and then maybe he'll get it to a fucking receiver if it's a fake ball they have to catch.
It's
Because
still going to get
a real football, it's not going to happen.
He's going to throw it, and like someone else is going to be like, no, I intercepted it, I swear. And then there's
It's going to be the nose tackle. He's like,
And everyone will believe him because they'll be like, you know, you probably did, because he probably did it.
Yeah.
So real quick, because basically, like, the big thing that people are saying, like, a lot of writers like Peter King and Mike Florio and guys like that have looked at the Wells report and said there isn't enough proof, there isn't enough with, like, the science or whatever to suspend Brady, but the league should suspend him for refusing to turn over his cell phone. So that's where I want to get your guys' take, because I think there might be a little bit of a disagreement. I think Brady was well within his rights to not turn over his personal cell phone to an investigation that had more leaks than the Titanic. So, I don't know. Sean, what do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he didn't have to. I think it makes him look a lot fishier, and it makes it, in my mind, it makes it seem more likely that he was directly involved. Because if he wasn't, why wouldn't he? They were going to sit there, and Tom Brady would get to go through his phone with them. He wasn't physically handing it over. Tom Brady would have been able to go through the phone with them and say, "Here, look at this text. No, don't look at Giselle. Like, I got a couple pics in here. I don't want you to see."
You believe for a second that Wells would have accepted that?
That's not, yeah, I don't. It's a lie.
He said after his interview, after the section where he details what Brady said in the interview, he says, basically, he said all this, but I don't believe him. So do you think if he was going to take selected printouts from Brady and his agent, he would have taken that? I don't care what he said on that conference call. He's full of shit.
And the Wells report didn't point that out too. There's a reason he didn't put that in the Wells report. It physically says that Brady would not hand over his cell phone, and then all of a sudden in the conference call he's talking about, well, we would have let him hand choose text messages and given it to us, and that's just bullshit. That's not what he did for anyone else. Yeah, and that's not what he said in the Wells report.
They already had.
Right, and they didn't. He specifically didn't mention that in the Wells report, and that's the place you're going to mention something like that, not in a conference call when all the media is grilling you and you have to make something up to make yourself look better and make Brady look worse. But
yeah, that's totally a fair point. I think that's a totally fair point. I think at the end of the day, it still makes me feel fishy about it. I think you guys totally legit. You're definitely. I agree with your points. Still makes me feel a little bit fishy about it, and that's why, barring Josh's point about the multi-league thing, because that's, to me, is the biggest selling point you guys have. Barring that point, I still feel that Brady probably should have had a little bit of a punishment. Again, I would have probably gone 2 games, not anything major, probably nothing for the
what about
Patriots.
like a $100,000 fine? That would have been in line with the reasonability of being generally aware of something that might not have taken place. If they had given him any fine,
I think it's pretty. I think it's pretty clear something took place. That's the thing. It's pretty clear something took place. It's pretty clear
what took place? Prove it.
Well, you can't. And
Exactly. So shut up.
to Greg's point is on how you feel about Brady and not giving up his phone is, yes, he is all in his rights not to. But it's like if a cop pulls you over and they say, "Can I check your trunk?" All right, if you have nothing to hide, you say, "Yes, check it." Do you have all rights to say no? Fuck yes. All right? But if you say no, what's the first thing that goes on in his mind as a cop? You got drugs. You're hiding something. All right, so Brady saying no, yes, he's in the right to do that. But him saying no, everyone's going, he's hiding something. What's in that phone? Why won't he give it up?
What if Brady has like a pot dealer in his phone and he likes a little pot on the side and the NFL leaks that? You know what I mean? I'm not. It's not just. It's not. We're not.
Albums of Giselle nude. Yeah.
Yeah. Or what if? What if he
minutes.
just had like a really bad argument with Giselle and called her like a bitch or something, and then the NFL gets all their hands on it and then releases that to the public?
Well,
Like, there's so much other shit that they can look at.
if anyone wants those pictures, it's not like fucking Fat Image will fucking go in Tom Brady's phone and they'll take it, all right? If there's naked pictures of Giselle, they'll fucking go online, all right? You've seen it with Upton and Verlander. It's not like, oh, no one's going to be able to get into his phone. Oh, the NFL's got it. Now shit will be leaked. If shit wants to be leaked...
That's different than hackers breaking in and stealing it.
Yeah. There's a difference between hackers breaking into your phone and you just handing your phone over to hackers and saying, here!
Yeah, on good faith. Don't leak anything, please.
Oh, so you give the NFL your phone, and then all of a sudden a picture of Giselle goes up naked. All right, you fucking know the NFL did it, so they're not going to do it. All right, that's
Bullshit. No. The damage has already been done.
It doesn't matter at that point.
Delusional if you don't think his entire text.
If you have nothing to hide.
Hold on, yeah, but wait. So your guys' defense about Tom Brady not handing over his phone is there might be something worse that he's done. That's the best defense you have.
No. My defense is that he shouldn't be held like in contempt or whatever you want to call it. He shouldn't be looked at as refusing to cooperate when he sat down for well over an hour, however fucking long it was, answered every single question that they asked, didn't refuse to answer. All of his relevant text messages to McNally and Jastrzemski are on McNally and Jastrzemski's phone, which the NFL already had. So if that's the scope of your investigation, you already have the information. So why would you risk leaking personal information with this incompetent, bumbling group of investigators?
I just don't think
that's my defense.
If you have nothing to hide, and if it fucking gets leaked, I mean, so be it.
He has his personal life to hide.
He doesn't have no personal life.
Private guy.
Not doing everything with his man purse to Yankees hats or whatever. He has no personal life. Celebrities have no fucking.
That's not true.
Life.
There's
a lot of things inside.
Brady in the off season when he shows up at Carnival and does his gay little dance. Fine, whatever. But like that's
How do you know he doesn't like wear a fucking leather suit to have sex with Giselle and that's in his text messages? Like there's a lot of crazy shit that could be going on behind the scenes.
That's the thing. He has no personal life.
That's not true.
Everyone knows that.
All right, so you have nothing to hide, so you can put your phone up to the thing right now and show us every text message you have.
Yes, if I'm the
do it
right now.
Okay, then do it. I want to see all of your text messages.
All my text messages right now. All right.
Okay.
Naked bitches.
Every person.
Fucking shit.
Yeah, I want to see every text message.
Hang on.
Put it up to the screen. We're gonna spend the next hour reading all your text messages.
Let's see this one. Brandon Pike just sent me this text. Knicks got fucked. No shit. Knicks always get fucked in the ass by themselves. All right. Here you go. You want to? All right. Here, let's go bang a chick. Fuck yeah. All right. Let's bang a chick. Put that on fucking line. All right.
Yeah. Well, that'd be great if Brady had one that said, let's go bang a chick, right?
Good for him. Hopefully it's a threesome because that's even hotter than Giselle.
That's not how it works, though. Public perception is completely different.
Well, I'm public, and I perceive that as very nice.
Yeah, you're not the majority of people.
You're telling me I'm not a majority? One person matters in this world. That's what makes America great.
I can't even respond to that.
Yeah, I think most people aren't going to turn over their phone. I wouldn't turn over my phone if I was Brady.
That's the other thing, and the NFLPA
people want to,
but hard against that because that's a dangerous precedent to set. Because the CBA doesn't give the NFL office any subpoena power on this shit, so they can't force anyone like legally to turn everything over. It has to all be voluntary. So the last thing the NFLPA wants is for one of their highest profile stars to get suspended for refusing to hand over a personal cell phone. It would be one thing if they all had like team issued cell phones that they were all using. At that point, it's property of the teams and by extension property of the NFL. Yeah, turn that over. You have to do that. But a personal cell phone should never be in the hands of the league unless it's voluntarily given.
Yeah, I mean, I would never turn over my personal cell phone. I don't want anyone looking at anything I say to anybody. Like, that's my personal shit. I don't care. Unless I'm, like, about to face, like, a death sentence, I'm not going to turn my phone over to anyone for anything. Like, that's just going way too far.
Right. And I don't even have any skeletons in my closet. It's my business. So, fuck you. Keep your nose out of it. If Jastrzemski and McNally had also refused to turn over their cell phones or something like that, then I could see how this would be a bigger deal. But if they already had all the text messages between Brady and Jastrzemski, and, well, Brady never texted McNally, so they already had all the text messages from Brady that were within the scope of the investigation.
So I don't think, despite what I was saying about how it does make it seem a little fishy, I also see your guys' points, but about it, so it makes it seem a little fishy. Of course, I agree that Tom Brady shouldn't turn it over, but I don't think also that. So I agree also with you guys, I guess, that he shouldn't get a punishment, at least not a game suspension, probably not even a fine for just not turning his phone over. I think if being not turning his phone over even factored into the punishment, I think it's probably just because of the circumstantial evidence and they wanted to see his phone. And I see even that. I guess I agree that the phone shouldn't have come into play.
Right. It's shaky. It's all shaky.
At least not for the punishment. I mean, in the eyes of the public, we can look at it and say, hey, that in my mind it makes it fishy. In your guys, it doesn't, and that's probably just because you guys are biased to Patriots fans, and I'm biased against the Patriots, and that's why we think that way.
Well, right, and the other 99% of America who doesn't support the Patriots is going to go out. They didn't read past the second paragraph of the Welsh report. They saw generally aware of some activities that more probably than not happened. It went, Brady's a cheater. We got him. Fuck you. No, you have nothing. If you read beyond the synopsis, you realize that the Wells report is junk. That was it.
All right.
I've been holding all this shit.
I disagree with that. I think that getting up the text messages was successful enough, but deflator.
Successful that he deflated the footballs, but you have no idea when.
Fucking May.
Yeah,
that text was in May, and this shit happened in January. So unless you think that this wasn't an isolated incident, which it must have been.
Wait, the deflator text? I'm pretty sure that happened during the game.
No, it didn't. It was a
private. There was a deflate and give someone that jacket from McNally to Jastrzemski, but that was at halftime of the Green Bay game, and McNally wasn't even at that game because it was in Lambeau. So he sent that to Jastrzemski because he saw Jastrzemski on the sideline walking around with a jacket like a fucking moron.
Yeah, it wasn't during the game. It was prior. I don't think it was May. I think it was like November.
I heard
it was like,
but whatever.
I think it was like October or November of 2014.
For some reason, I wrote down the time of the texts because I thought it was important relating to a game at least. Maybe not the Colts game, but at least a game. I wrote down the times of the texts, but I thought that was why I did that. Maybe I'm wrong, but
yeah, you're definitely wrong.
Typical Patriots fan.
I'm just 100. Well, I'm like literally 100%. I know it wasn't during that game.
Yeah. Because that's been like the biggest, if you've been following this whole mess on like Twitter and shit, like the biggest sticking point that people have with using that text against them is that it was so far before the AFC Championship game even happened. That they're like, how can you call this direct evidence when it was months beforehand?
And there's no evidence of when he deflates footballs either. It could be
before.
before.
The balls into the bathroom.
Well, I mean, if you gotta take a piss, you gotta take a piss.
Right, and the deflator could refer to the fact that he's deflating them before he gives them to the official, in which case, in your own words, no guilt.
Yeah, I mean, either way, whether this happened or not, the NFL is just sitting pretty. I mean, we can all say all day that they look like idiots, which they always do. I fucking hate the NFL. But at the end of the day, for the last 4 months and for the next 6, all right, before the season starts, they're going to be on ESPN in the news every fucking day, all right?
Yeah.
I walk into school, kids are talking about this, all right? So it's everywhere, and the NFL's winning. They're not losing, they are winning because they are just getting publicity out the ass, and who doesn't love that?
You know,
Which is
losing
why
is-
I think that the punishment screams not necessarily publicity stunt, but essentially that. Like Goodell went, you know what? Let's just go over the top because this is going to piss some people off. And then Kraft dug in his heels and fought back, and that just riled everything up. So now you've got it's like after the draft, OTAs haven't started. NHL and NBA playoffs are in the conference finals, and baseball season's in full swing, and no one gives a shit. All anyone is talking about is the PSI levels of footballs in the first half of a blowout game.
And it's sad. We sit here when I'm saying the Rockets fucking make this huge comeback, the Clippers blow it, the Rangers come back 3-1, all the Hawks are in the Wizards series. No one's talking about that. We're not talking about that. We're still talking about PSI and a fucking football and Tom Brady.
Defend the wall.
Yeah, and seriously, everyone knows I'm a diehard Red Sox fan, but even if the Red Sox had like an 800 winning percentage right now, I would still be way more interested in this Deflategate than I would the Red Sox. It's just
That's
like
until Brady's
controlling me.
suspension gets dropped, which
Right.
if it's anything beyond like completely gone, like at this point with Kraft pulling back those backdoor meetings with Goodell, the only way I'm okay with this is if Brady's suspension is brought to 0.
Right.
Which ideally is what Goodell wants if he's smart about it. You don't want your best player not on the field during your season opener.
The one thing I'm happy about is that Kraft is still on the committee that decides Roger Goodell's bonus at the end of the year. So go Kraft, mark that thing down. That's what I have to say.
So you're gonna take his bonus from $15 million to fucking 7? Oh
Yeah,
wow!
right.
Or hey, Goodell has his little summer home in Cape Elizabeth. So if anyone wants to, destroy some property on a weekend, I mean that would be a good place to probably start.
Hell, I'm even against the Patriots, but fuck it, I'll go in on that.
He's a fucking idiot.
Barstool Boston is selling Fire Goodell T-shirts if you guys want in on the bandwagon.
I just want to see the an entire draft. You know how everyone always boos him. They scope to the crowd and everyone's wearing a Fire Goodell shirt.
That would be fantastic.
Right?
The NFL wouldn't show it. That's what would make it so great.
That's true.
They just have 0 crowd shots, and then it'd just be like
The
a bunch of
entire-
pictures. It'd just be a bunch of pictures from the reporters on Twitter, like, hey, look at these guys.
Next thing you see is there's a riot in Chicago, and we're gonna actually have no fans in here today, like Baltimore. Oh wow!
That game was ridiculous. That must have been super playing.
All right. Yeah. So I think that's about everything. We literally talked an hour about Deflategate, so that's pretty cool.
That's fine. It means we don't have to talk about it ever again. I'm perfectly okay with that.
Bullshit.
Yeah, so-
We'll bring it up fucking next week, assholes.
Yeah. The minute Brady's suspension gets dropped, that's all that anyone's going to be talking about again.
That'll just be a blip on the rundown, I promise.
All right. I guess we're done. So, hope you liked our Deflategate talk. If you're not sick of it already, next
I
week
think it's fun to
maybe.
see New York fans versus Boston fans talking about it. I think that's an interesting take.
Yeah, but you guys weren't irrational, so it wasn't as fun.
I actually wish you could be professional because I could have yelled at you.
You should have told me to have 6 beers first. Then I would have gotten it over.
I'm working on it. I thought we were gonna keep going on this shit. Fuck you, Pats suck. I'm gonna fuck Tom Brady right in the ass.
And on that note,
Typical Jets fan.
Yeah, we're all gay.
By the way, I'm